everyone. Today we're talking about body paragraphs. So we've talked about the introduction in your formal essay structure. Now we're moving on to body paragraphs. And I kind of like to think of this as the meat of your essay. So you have the introduction and the conclusion, which are going to be like the buns kind of leading in and out of your ideas. But then the body paragraphs are really where you have that meat, where you develop the arguments. You can't really have an essay without body paragraphs, just like you wouldn't be able to have a hamburger without the actual burger. So please make sure as you're following along that you have out your worksheet so that we are able to just answer those questions and move right along. Okay. So in a traditional 5-paragraph essay, which you'll see probably a lot in high school and college, like I kind of alluded to earlier, we have the introduction. Typically we have 3 body paragraphs, and then we have a conclusion. So the parts of a body paragraph, there are going to be 4 major parts, and we'll go into detail with each of these kind of in a little bit. So for right now, just write down what they're called. Part 1 is going to be called a topic sentence. Part 2 should be called evidence. Part 3 is called commentary. And Part 4 is called a conclusion. Most of these terms should be pretty familiar to us at this point, but we're going to go over what these are in just a second. At this point, though, you can answer question number 1 on your worksheet. You can also answer question number 2, because the minimum number of sentences, I would hope that by now you should have more, but obviously there's 4 parts, so minimum of 4 sentences and 4 parts in that body paragraph. Also, if you'd like to put a star next to both evidence and commentary, it's important to note that those can both be repeated. What I mean by that is that you might have a body paragraph that has a topic sentence, then it might have evidence and commentary, then you might have another piece of evidence and commentary before you move into the conclusion. And typically that's actually going to make a stronger essay. So kind of note that those 2 things are absolutely okay to be repeated. Alright, before we move into what a topic sentence is, we have to review what a thesis is, because those 2 things just go hand in hand. So remember, a thesis is a sentence that summarizes the main point of the entire essay. It's located, remember, at the end of the introduction, and it has 2 major parts. So it's going to have your main opinion, your main claim, and then it has kind of what we call these subpoints that allude to what your body paragraphs are going to be about. You may have heard the term essay map for that in the past. So as an example, the main opinion could be tanning beds should be banned for people under 18. The subpoints would be people under 18 because they cause premature aging, cause cancer, and should be a decision for adults. So you can see that I have the main opinion, and then I've also kind of previewed, have an essay map of the major points. Alright, so the reason we're going over a thesis statement before we talk about body paragraphs, and you can kind of see the tanning beds example expanded here. The essay map, or the preview in the direct thesis statement, is going to end up becoming your topic sentences later on. So if you take a look at what's in red, you can see that corresponds to body paragraph 1, in green body paragraph 2, in blue body paragraph 3. So again, that thesis statement should be previewing what's to come in each body paragraph. Alright, so let's talk about why am I telling you what a topic sentence is then, and how does that relate to a thesis? So a topic sentence is going to summarize the main claim of the paragraph. It is the first sentence in the paragraph, and the reason we've compared it to a thesis is because I want you to think of this analogy. A thesis is to the whole essay as the topic sentence is to the paragraph. So what that means is that the thesis is the main claim of your entire essay. The topic sentence is the main claim of your paragraph. So a topic sentence, guys, is so important because it tells the reader what's to come in that particular paragraph. If you just start off a paragraph with evidence or with something else, I'm going to have no idea what you're talking about. So a topic sentence lets us know what's going on in the paragraph. An example, this topic sentence is about a work called A Modest Proposal by Jonathan Swift, and we'll use this example throughout the PowerPoint. It says, Swift's cutting diction, which dehumanizes families by comparing them to animals, points out Ireland's declining morals and attracts attention to solving problems. So you can see that's a claim, it's an opinion, and it's telling us that the paragraph is going to be discussing Jonathan Swift's diction. So at this point, you can answer question number 3 on your worksheet. All right. I want you guys to keep thinking about topic sentences for a minute because they are so important. And I want you to think that just like a thesis statement, a good topic sentence typically is only one sentence. We want it to be fairly concise so the reader can tell what your main point is. We want it to be arguable. Remember, it's like a claim that you are making. And remember that it has to be a subpoint of the thesis that relates back to what has been said in the thesis. We don't want to get off track and go on a tangent. It should always relate back. Conversely, a poor topic sentence would be, just like a poor thesis statement, a fact, a question, a fragment, or an announcement. We want to typically avoid those things. Another visual for you guys to help you kind of think, sometimes this helps students to think of a thesis statement like a tree trunk, and the topic sentences are branches coming off from that. So I've given you another color-coded example here, and if you want to go ahead and pause your video and kind of take a look here, this is another example to kind of really plant that analogy in your mind. All right, next we're moving on to what evidence is, and this is the second part of our body paragraph. So, evidence for right now can be 4 things: a quote, an anecdote, a statistic, or a definition. Most times, guys, we're doing lit analysis, so we're going to be using quotes. Remember that my expectation nowadays is that your quotes are embedded. That means we're not plopping the quotes down, you're leading into the quote and you're integrating the quote within your own sentence. Also remember, guys, anytime you have one of these things, unless you've just gotten it out of your own brain, it has to be cited with an internal citation and a works cited page. All right, going back to our Jonathan Swift example, remember the topic sentence told us that we're talking about diction, and so here is an example of evidence in this same paragraph. It says, when specifically discussing the ways to eat human children, Swift, quote, recommends buying the children alive, end quote, to, quote, dress them as he does roasting pigs, end quote. And you can see the internal citation there with the author's last name and the page number. So notice that the writer has embedded the quote and has also given us that citation. Evidence, guys, is so important because it's what proves your topic sentence. If you don't have evidence, then how do I know that I can trust you as a writer or as a speaker? So at this time, you can answer question number 4 on your handout. All right, we're moving right along to part number 3 of body paragraphs, which is commentary. Commentary is really such a crucial part in this paragraph because it is your own analysis of why that evidence proves the topic sentence. And I think I see students struggle with that a lot, and that's the connection I'm really looking for you to make. Why have you chosen that particular piece of evidence to prove your topic sentence? That's what commentary should be answering. So again, commentary is so important because it's where you as the writer are connecting those dots for me and kind of expanding and analyzing the topic. All right, so we're going to look at an example of, again, we're with the Jonathan Swift example of commentary. So this commentary says, Swift's diction is revolting in that it compares a meal of a human child to a meal of pig. This diction conveys Swift's ultimate purpose. Because his ideas are so radical, he is able to garner attention from the public for his underlying message to actually solve societal poverty. So notice a couple things here, guys. First of all, my commentary is more than one sentence, okay? You are not limited in that. Second, I want you to notice that I have tied the evidence back to the topic sentence. So I'm talking specifically about the evidence, about the words that Jonathan Swift has used, and I've tied it back to that main point, the point of diction and what the purpose of the diction is. All right, so at this time you can answer number 5 on your worksheet. Finally, we're going to talk about what the conclusion is in the body paragraph. And please note, guys, there is a separate paragraph called a conclusion that wraps up your whole essay. This is just a conclusion sentence that wraps up the body paragraph. And so what it does, it wraps up the message of the paragraph, like I alluded to. And really, it should begin transitioning to the next paragraph so that your writing really flows smoothly. Okay, so again, going back to our Jonathan Swift example, Swift's callous diction throughout his essay ultimately serves to attract the attention of the Irish public, and his lightities assist in a similar purpose. So, again, notice a couple things. The first part of this sentence, again, is referring back to the diction and kind of talks about the ultimate purpose of that diction. So it's wrapping up that message. The second part of the sentence is alluding to another literary device that Swift is using, which is going to be the next body paragraph. The writer is going to discuss lightities. All right, so at this time you can answer number 6 on your worksheet. That is all I have for you guys on body paragraphs. So please fill out your worksheet and have that ready to turn in on Friday. Remember, body paragraphs are the meat of your essay. They're where you are proving your point. So that is what we will work on in class on Friday.